We are going live. Hello. How's everybody doing today? It is the lunch hour in Eastern Standard Time. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Billable Hour Burnout, episode 31, 2. Episode 32 happening. Organizational Resilience Series Part 2 happening. Let's get this started. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Billable Hour Burnout. If you need some helpful tactical advice that actually gives you the career of your dreams without the stress or the overwhelm, you are in the right place. If you want to finally enjoy the life that you spent decades building, you've come to the right place. If you're here today, it means you're ready to experience more work-life balance, more ease, more confidence, more success at work, and you're ready to make it happen without having to quit your job or burn down your life. My name is Baptiste, your Big Four auditor turned life coach, and you're listening to Billable Hour Burnout. On the show, I share simple tactics and mindset strategies specifically catered to the modern accountant, consultant, attorney, and those equipped in finance. You ready? 32. Let's go. It's been, I can't believe it. Can you believe it is Halloween tomorrow and it is the end of October? Q1 is already a third, Q4 is almost a third over. The year is like clicking away, but that's okay. I am celebrating all the beautiful foliage. It is peak foliage around here. So I've just been getting out, trying to do as many hikes as I can, taking advantage of every nice day that I can, because I know indoors is coming soon. I actually like indoors for other reasons, but I love being outside. So really taking advantage of that. Recently, I celebrated a friend's 40th birthday. That was last night. So it was fun to have a midweek little party thing. And I'm looking forward to what's ahead. I've got some good stuff happening. And for any of you that are Halloweening, trick-or-treating, happy Halloween. I hope you have fun. I took my niece out and we did some trick-or-treating. It was really fun. So I hope you have fun too. Let's get into today's episode because we've got a lot to talk about in today's second part of organizational resilience. But I always love to share a little client success story. So this one comes from Beth. She's a tax managing director. And she says, Lauren's coaching truly saved my career. I came to her exhausted, at a crossroads, and ready to walk away from the profession I'd spent decades in investing in. She helped me see that I didn't have to choose between my health and my success. The program taught me to set boundaries, start my day in a positive way, and find balance, which has not only transformed how I show up at work, but has improved my relationships with my family. I've learned I don't have to be exhausted to be an effective leader. I'm now re-energized, genuinely excited about my path, and more confident than ever in my ability to succeed without sacrificing myself. Woo, that one feels good. Celebrating Beth. Amazing, amazing, amazing. There is so much benefit from my program Freedom. And when you enter, what happens is everybody's like, okay, this is what I think I'm going to get. I think I'm just going to like break through my burnout. And like breaking through burnout is just the first milestone so that you can hit your career goal. I shared on my Instagram stories another day, and I know it's like a little bit of an anecdote, but a different client graduated this week. And it was just so powerful to see her shifts in what she changed. She came for goals of wearing more of the other hats in her life as a friend, as a wife, and even at more time for self. She was looking to like break through her imposter syndrome. And she was also looking to get clarity at work because she was having this stay or go feel. Am I in the right place? Is this really what I care about? Am I purposeful? And then at the end of 6 months, she's like, whoa, I totally forgot that I was in that place. I'm in such a different state of mind now that I can't even imagine what life would be like otherwise. So that's what I love. That's what I'm like celebrating is these clients that are hitting it, not just like a little bit, but a lot of it. And so I'll stop there, but I just really love. So Beth's story gives like detail. My client who graduated earlier this week, it's just to see the impact that they're making by being in this program that you couldn't get on your own. That's what I just love about the program. Love, love, love. All right. But let's talk about today's topic because this is what I really wanted to spend time with you today. So if you joined me last week, we went through the first part of organizational resilience. Organizational resilience, if you weren't here for the first part of this three-part series, is all about how do we function and bounce back from setbacks at work. And my answer as the well-being consultant that spends time in companies is the answer is when you're well, your company does well. That will always be the stance that I have. When you're good, then you can, right? We always say, put on your oxygen mask first before you serve others. The same is how organizational resilience is. In order to serve our company, we need to make sure we're taking care of ourselves, and we need to do it in meaningful ways. So in the last episode, I talked about the problem that a lot of companies are experiencing on the path to organizational resilience, and that they're not quite hitting it because they're focused on transactional solutions, not transformational solutions. So today we're going to go a little deeper. Now that we know what it is, now we know the problem is, now that we know the solution is focusing on these transformational solutions, we're going to get a little bit more clear in what that means. So there's three things that I know after doing this for a really long time is that companies don't embrace organizational resilience or prioritize it because three things. One, they don't actually see it as a priority. They see it as a well-being initiative or something that would just be a nice to have. They're not seeing it as critical. The second point is that they don't make space for it in the budget. So they're just like, well, it doesn't fit. We don't have budget for this, right? And then it doesn't take hold. The third reason why companies haven't implemented or aren't implementing organizational resilience is because they don't know how. So today I'm going to talk to you about each of these because as you are an empowered leader, we're going to take care of ourselves so that we could take care of our company, but you need to see the value of it, right? I talk to a lot of clients, and this is on an individual level. If someone's like, I'd really love to exercise more. It's like, why? And they're like, well, because I'd like to be 10 pounds lighter. Okay, why? Because then maybe I'd feel a little bit better in my clothes. Okay, why? Like, why does that matter, right? We were like kind of digging like a child would to like get to the essence of the truth. But if we're not fully connected to the reason, then it just never becomes prioritized. I can't tell you time and time again, I've heard clients who just like don't then exercise because they're not seeing it as that priority. So we have to pivot the mindset behind how we operate. So we need to make organizational resilience a priority. And how are we going to do that? Well, businesses like making money. Actually, businesses are only businesses when they're making money. Otherwise, it's a hobby, right? So we want to make sure that your business is making money. So if you're considering this a well-being initiative or a nice to have, what I know that you're not seeing is the actual cost that's happening that's accruing every day, the money you're losing every single day by not being organizationally resilient. And so we're like, wait, what cost are you talking about? Well, have we thought about the cost of what it takes when we lose somebody? Right? We're going to talk about that when we talk. Well, we can, let's just talk about it right now. So when we're thinking about organizational resilience and we're thinking about a lost person, it's very expensive to replace them, especially for someone who's manager and up, highly educated, highly trained, experienced. That's expensive. So according to SHRM, the Society of HR Management, they say that cost could be anywhere from 50 to 200, but I've seen other studies that say the average is actually around that like 150%, especially 150%, let's say, of their annual salary. So excuse me, just so you know. So 150 to 200% max of their annual salary. That's expensive. That's a lot of money, right? Think about how much you're making and think about, wow, twice that just to replace me. And so we think about like, what are the costs? The costs are advertising, recruiting, hiring, onboarding, training, getting that person up to speed and that learning curve that's experienced. It's expensive. It's very expensive to lose people. So the problem is that we're seeing people drop like flies. We're seeing this rage quitting trend. We're seeing, we're kind of at the other side, I guess, of that great resignation. Nobody's really talking about that term anymore. But I will say people are still leaving. They're very much over the like going through the rigmarole, whatever the word is, the intensity of the job, and they want something better. And there's a point where like all the money isn't even worth it anymore. So, okay, we know now that how expensive it is to lose somebody. So then is this now a priority, right? Can we start to prioritize this? When you have people that are in your company that aren't happy, right? You might even be one of them because you're here because you're likely engaging with the messaging. You're an empowered leader and you're also a professional, a burned out professional, and that's okay. So I want you to think about whether it's yourself or a colleague, but this idea of a fishbowl with a fish that's in dirty water. I remember I was talking to Chief Wellbeing Officer, a Big Four accounting firm, and we talked about this analogy together. And the idea is like if the fish is in the dirty fishbowl is sick, how do you solve the problem? Do you just give the fish medicine? Do you change the water? What would you do? The reality is likely both, right? You would change the water, hoping it would be the water, can maybe make it better. You would also try to give the fish medicine. But I want you to think about that person who's staying at the job that they hate longer. Like that creates a toxic culture over time. It builds resentment. You have a leader who's not as compassionate or empathetic or well listening. They give like very curt demands of like, this isn't good enough. Are you thinking? What's happening? Like, why do you keep doing this wrong? Right? Versus someone who's able to hold space. Okay, what is it that you don't understand? What training can I provide? What can we do to help bridge the gap from where you are to where you need to be? Can you feel the difference? So we need to equip our leaders ourselves with these tools. So this is why organizational resilience is critical and that we need to make it a priority. We need to solve for the fishbowl and the sick fish. We need to stop losing, right? We don't want dead fish. We don't want to lose our fish, our fish that we love so much, our hardworking professionals. And so if we don't make this a priority, that cost is going to continue to rise. It's rising every second that you're sitting here right now. And so what we want to do is really catch that and figure out then how can we create a budget and take the next steps. So let's move into point number 2. So the first point was all about making it a priority. So now that we understand the need to prioritize this, then usually what comes up is, well, Lauren, like, okay, well, we didn't budget for this. Like we see that there's value in this, but we haven't budgeted it. I'm like, okay, no problem, no stress. Actually, you already have the budget. So one thing I've been doing as I've been speaking to firms is like asking, so tell me what your hiring budget is for 2024. And they'll give me a number. And I'll say, okay, well, tell me what your retention budget is. This is where I get crickets. There is no budget for retention, usually. So there are sometimes renegade cases, but okay, so there's no budget for retaining your people. So you're just focusing on new fish, but you're not trying to like save the fish that you already have that have been providing for you and working for you and supporting you, right? Why? What if we took, if we're going to even take a gamble, take 5 to 10% of your hiring budget and put it into retention. It needs to be meaningful enough so that there is something to work with. But for that, usually, yeah, if you could take 10% to start and shift it from hiring to retention, then what we can start to experience is a way to something better. So let's think about what is that way to something better? This is where the transformational solutions come in. So I want you to be thinking, this is like the easiest way, right? It's hard to make budget out of nowhere. But what we want to be thinking about is when we take a budget that didn't exist, then we reallocate funds from hiring to retention, what we're actually doing is focusing on the same goal, is a fully employed staff where there's enough resourcing to get the work done. So it's really all hitting the same goal. So it's not even like creating a new budget, it's just a reallocation. And so all my accountants here know that, can know how to figure that out on the P&L. But what I also like to say too, and the difference is not just assuming, okay, I'm taking this 10% and I'm throwing it in the garbage. It's this idea of having a plan to create a return on your investment. So I'm looking in the chat right now on Instagram and I love it. And it's like, yes, and a more motivated staff. So I think that's really valuable to like kind of hear that. It's going much deeper than just saving your people or having enough resources. It's about creating a more motivated workforce. It's about saving that person. So let's say, okay, hypothetically, we take 10% of your hiring budget, and let's say that's $100,000. That $100,000 can be used, and I've seen it in different situations and clients that I've worked with, is that that money can then, it saves people from leaving. And that money then is like, instead of that 200% that we're spending on someone who just left, right, which end up being way more than the 10% you reallocated, you use that money to save the people that you have, that you appreciate, that you want to keep for the long run. So I just wanted to say that I think there is totally math that supports this. Feel free to reach out. I can, I know I'm just like kind of sharing with you as we're speaking right now, but there are numbers that support this. And what we're going to speak about next week is the return on the investment that you can expect. So this isn't just money that we're throwing away towards a happy hour or a bowling night. No, we're focused on a transformational solution that transforms the life of your employee and the life of your business. It is an absolute win-win. I can go on and on for this for a long time because I think there's so many ways that we can like talk about this, but I'm going to take a few minutes really quickly to share a couple of strategies to think about, right? So if you are committed and now you're saying, okay, I understand it's a priority. Okay, maybe I can make that work in the budget, right? So now I'm starting to see that there's a way I can create a business case for this. Then the third step is, how do I help? Like, how do I break through that? I don't know how. Well, I'm going to tell you right now. This is how. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this, but I'm going to say I created some general ways to think about it of a few different strategies. These are a couple decisions that you have to make. So we're going to go through kind of like this or that, like A, B, or C. And you have to choose one from A, choose one from B, and choose one from C. And that will be your strategy to set things in motion. Okay. So the first consideration, the first decision you have to make, are you going to go wide, meaning firm-wide, company-wide, or are you going to go deep and focus on a select number of people, a select problem, a select situation, right? So identify wide or deep. Neither is better or worse. They all have their pluses and minuses, which we'll talk about next week. But think about that, right? So A, wide or deep. Solution or decision B, top down, right? So focusing on leaders and working your way down, or bottom up, starting with your employee workforce and working up, right? So now you think, okay, if I wanted to go wide, am I going to do something that feels more grassrootsy? Am I going to do something that then has a leadership down momentum, right? So see how that works and play with it from there. The third consideration is tactics or mindset. Tactics or mindset. Tactics are learning the things. Okay, in order to be better at time management, I have to do these 3 steps, right? We can create classes and workshops and things to help build tactics, or are we trying to build mindset? Mindset is then focusing on more resilience, building confidence, helping to be more organizationally resilient to handle uncertainties. So this is what you have to think about: wide or deep, top down or bottom up, or and tactics versus mindset. Again, neither is bad. There's no perfect permutation. The permutation that's perfect for your firm is the one that's going to work. And so this is why I love getting involved in helping make the plan, help evaluate the plan, make adjustments to the plan, and repeat the plan until you meet the goal of organizationally resilient. So the truth is that we're never going to get it right 100% of the time on the first go. That's just not how it works usually. But we can do a lot of things to be directionally going where we want to be. Like, I always think about this idea of like, I'm from New York, and if I'm flying to the West Coast, like directionally going to the West Coast is like making my way from Chicago or across, or, if I'm flying, then I'm just going to try to take one flight all the way to the West Coast and not pit stop anywhere else. But if we're off, then I'm heading to Europe and I don't even know. So we want to make sure that we're really focused on what we want. And that's why I walk my clients through this process when we're doing more organizationally resilient focused work to get them where they want to go, do it within budget, make it feel like a priority, and have the step-by-step plan to get there. So I love that. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm sharing. So as we come to the end of today's episode, here's a few things that you could think about. I gave you next steps on the last episode because I really want you to be thinking about, okay, here's a tangible thing I can do. And so this is what I want you to do now. So if you did all the ones from last week, amazing. Now you're here. If you still need to do those, go back to last week, watch that, come back. So here's what you could do, 3 steps. 1, identify your goals, right? What are the goals of the employer and the employee? We talked about this a little bit last time, but something you really need to be thinking about is making sure that you're creating a win-win solution that supports both of you, not just engagement, not just loyalty, not just retention, but their goals of not crying in the shower, not panicking at night, less heart palpitations, right? So we need to find goals that help both parties. Number 2, start to finalize that budget. Now that I've given you an idea of where can I reallocate from that is operating to support that same goal, now you can start to have something to work with. You'll have some force behind the machine that you're building. And then the third step is to take action. I know how challenging this can feel when you're like, wow, I have to save my company all by myself. No, that's why you get to bring in me and my firm, and we can support you in going there. The only thing you'd have to do is reach out. So that's where I'll leave it today. Make sure you do those 3 steps. If you want more information about my corporate consulting work, you can reach out to me on all the places. hello@akalowawellness.com is the email. You can go to akalowawellness.com on the website. You can find me on LinkedIn. There's all the places you can find me, but you can reach out, and that's where we get this party started. We get to build organizational resilience for your company. But don't forget, you got to put your own mask on first. If you want your company to be there, it starts with you. And this is where I've been sharing, if you want to take action, right? I really want you to be engaged on my newsletter because November is going to be a good month. It's an end, and it's November in 2 days. I've got a surprise coming for you. We got a webinar coming up. We have things, and there's something that I'm only sharing on my newsletter. So if you're not there, you're going to want to join me. Go to akalowawellness.com/newsletter. Make sure you're on the newsletter to take advantage of what's coming in November. You're not going to want to miss it. So this is your warning. But in the meantime, if you are ready to take action and you're like, you know what, I feel like I need coaching. I need coaching for myself so that I can build my organization, resilience for my organization, then now's the time to book a consultation. I am taking consultations now. So if you want, there is limited spots because I have a lot of consults on the calendar in the coming weeks. But if you are ready to take action on your next level, on your 2025, if you want to finish the year strong, now is the time. I have a partner who's transitioning from one firm to another, right? She's re-engaging this work because she gets the value for it. I have a senior manager who's looking to promote, who's also seeking like more boundaries as she gets her new title. She's continuing this work. I have clients who are coming in, who are getting the value, who just got laid off, who are ready to get started. They see the value of this work. Regardless of the situation, there is for you a return on your investment. And when, again, you put your oxygen mask on, this is where you benefit, those around you benefit, and then we get your company to benefit. So that's the name of the game this week, everybody. Let's do that. So thank you so much for joining today. I love having these. These are like, I just have so much joy each week bringing this to you. So thank you for listening to today's episode. If you found it helpful, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Come find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you hang. Thank you for listening. If you want more information about me, Lauren Baptiste, Akaloa Wellness, or my one-on-one coaching program, Freedom, that is changing lives daily, visit akalowawellness.com. That's ACHELOA wellness spelled out.com. All right. Great episode. See everybody next week for 33, which will be Organizational Resilience Part 3. This is all focused on the ROI. All right, everybody. Great week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.